What up? What up? What's going on, people? What's popping? What's popping? We are back with RKT Appraisals. I said Locario. Rashidi Locario is in the building. Kelly is in the building. What's going on, y'all? What's popping?
What up? What up?
What's going on? What's going on?
What's going on? It's good. So today we're gonna be talking about the difference between assets and liabilities. You feel what I'm saying? So let's get into that. So what's y'all thoughts on that?
You want to take it away, Rashidi?
Yeah, I'll let you start off.
Okay. So first of all, what is an asset? What is a liability, right? An asset, anything that's useful, that's valuable with quality. That is an asset.
And that put money in your pocket.
Pretty much.
Right.
Pretty much. You know, that's an asset. What is a liability? A liability basically it's like a person or a company that has a loss, especially when it comes to money, really.
Right.
It's like
take money out of your pocket.
Correct.
Right.
That's an asset. That's a liability in the lamest terms.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's different types of assets. There's different types of liabilities. There are things that can be an asset and a liability at the same time, depending on the perspective and how you're seeing the situation. You know, so there's different types of assets. You got tangible assets. You got intangible assets. What are tangible assets? Things that are like physical, material, like cash, stocks, buildings, land, office equipment, machinery,
right,
car, vehicle. Those are all assets, or tangible assets, I should say. Then you have intangible assets, things that are like without material substance, like
intellectual property.
Yes, licenses, franchises, your reputation,
patents.
Yes, patents, a brand. Yep, goodwills. Those are all intangible assets. You know, so there's different types of assets. But in general, like I said, you have assets. You have things that can be an asset, but that also, at the same time, could be a liability. For example, if I have a vehicle, if I have a car, right, that can be an asset. But depending on what type of car I have, if that car keeps breaking down every month and I got to take it to the shop, now that car is not an asset to me anymore. Now it's a liability.
Right.
It's taken away. The value, it's devalued. It's taken away from me now. Now it's a liability.
Right.
You know, so it all depends on how and these different things, like I said, that can be an asset. There's different things that can be, you know. Okay, Rob, you could add to that.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So yeah, definitely piggyback off what Katie was going over, assets and liability. To keep it real simple, pretty much assets is how much you're worth, how much money you got. Liability is how much money you lose and how fast you lose it. You know, with assets itself, you know, a lot of things could be assets. I mean, like you said, if you got a house, that's an asset. If you do have a car, that can be an asset as well. You know, jewelry could be an asset. Collectible items could be an asset. So I think one of the main things we want to touch on is that a lot of times people ask that question, like, you know, when you go in a bank, and a lot of times people say, oh, what are your assets? And a lot of people on top say, I don't know, or zero. But the truth is, what we want to get out there is that a lot of things we have are assets. The reason why I say jewelry is an asset is that, you know, a lot of people have chains and all that type of stuff. But the truth is, if you don't insure that chain, it's not listed as an asset. If you don't get an appraisal to see how much that chain is worth, it's never listed. So it's not that people always just completely broke. You actually have a lot of assets you don't know, collectible items. People that collect little Pokemon cards and whatever type of sports cards, that's an asset. You just got to document it. So the main thing of what we want to go over is a lot of things that you have in your possession that can be asset. Like I said, you know, your house, what's in your bank account. Literally, if you're doing stocks and bonds with the market, with Bitcoin, all that stuff, all of that is all assets. Believe it or not, you know, even if you got $200 in the market, that's considered an asset. Like Kadeem was saying, where you have something of value. You know what I mean? And you know, for liabilities now, those things can become a liability because, of course, for example, for a house, it says asset because if you sell a house, it's going to be value. Most houses are profitable because each year the value goes up and you pay off less of the mortgage. How it becomes a liability, though, is that money that you owe on the house. Like, who's going to pay the rest of that house in a worst case scenario if if you're top heavy on the house, if the house is not worth more, the value went down for some reason. And the reason that became a liability is probably because you didn't take care of the house and things of that nature, et cetera, et cetera. So the main thing is really trying to understand is what are assets and how to make those assets not become liabilities, you know, and things like that. But just really understanding, you know, what those are, you know, pretty much is you know, the topic.
So what's the thing that you would say is an asset and a liability, or can be that? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, house. A house is an asset and liability. Real estate can be an asset and liability. You know, like I was saying, what a house itself is, the reason why it's an asset is because, say, you buy a house for $350,000 and it's worth $450,000. It's an asset because if you sold that house today, you'd make $100,000.
Right.
It's a liability because it's $350,000 left to pay on that house, and then it also becomes a physical liability because things can happen to the house. You know what I mean? A tree can fall on a house. I mean, just telling you guys a little while ago, cops outside right now in front of my house because a power line, a tree from the front of my yard fell on top of a power line.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It created a liability. So it's just like the physical part of it, liability can happen because things happen, things cost you to lose value or spend money. Same example with the house, you know, something breaks in the house, you got to pay to fix it. You know what I mean? You have a pool. It's a liability because you got to pay to maintain it, or someone can drown and die in it. Liability is anything you can lose. Asset is anything you can gain. Literally that simple. You know, when it comes to that.
Right.
And just to go a little deeper, is that's a material aspect to it, but just in your life, there's people in your life that can be an asset that can be useful to your life. And there's people that can be a liability to your life, to where they're taken away. They're
right.
You know, making your life living hell. You know, so depending on and even with business partners, a business partner could be an asset to your business, make your business thrive, make a lot of money, make your business better, or you know, it could be a liability to when now there's leaks in your business because of this person,
right,
or that person. So you know, it's really in compare and contrast to, you know, it's like a yin and a yang thing. So and a good and a bad thing, you know.
Right.
So would y'all say that kids are a liability?
Yes.
They're like
absolutely.
Absolutely. They become a liability till maybe, I guess they're like above age, till they become an adult. They're a liability. When they're an adult, they could be an asset. Why? Because them same kids could grow up to, you know, be very successful and then take care of their parents. So they could be an asset later on in life. But from the day that they're born until they reach a certain age, yeah, they're a liability.
I want to inject something in the conversation. Like assets and liabilities can sometimes be subjective depending on your level of creativity. Right? Because the average person could look at a child and say a child is a liability. Right. You have some parents who, like, for example, we had Steve the Dean on the show last week, and he was talking about how he gets his kids to do things around the house. You understand? So that in itself, like because he gets his kids to do things, if he gets to save time so he can make money and do other things that can make money, that actually becomes an asset to him. You understand what I'm saying? Like, for example, there's this guy on Instagram. His name is Brother Polite. He went out and bought his oldest daughter a white Phantom Rolls Royce. Now the average person, they're going to be looking at him like this, you know, this flashy ass nigga. Why he buying his daughter some car like that? And what she need? Because his daughter's only like, what, 16, 15 or 16? His oldest daughter. If I'm not mistaken, I could be getting it wrong, but forgive me. I'm just painting a picture. He buys this Rolls Royce Phantom for his 15, 16-year-old daughter. Right. And the average person gonna be like, oh, he just trying to be flashy. He just showing off. What she need with a Rolls Royce Phantom and this, that, and the third. But check this out. So he rents out that he registered a business in his daughter's name. And the business rents out that Phantom for anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a day. Right. You understand? Now, the average person looking at it as a liability, but it actually becomes an asset to his family. Right. Because his daughter has a business in her name. And they use the car to actually make money. Because yes, granted, on a car like that, the monthly car note might be pretty expensive. The monthly car note might be $2,000. The monthly car note might be up to $3,000.
Right.
But if I'm renting that car for $2,000 a day for the whole month,
right?
You understand what I'm saying? Because my daughter don't need to drive the car. He bought the car for his daughter so she can use it as a business. Everybody want to drive around in an expensive vehicle and show off and whatever, and take pictures on Instagram and whatever. So that now becomes an asset to the family. You understand what I'm saying? So again, it has to do with your creativity. It has to do, a lot of times it has to do with how you see things and how you utilize things. You understand? So in a lot of ways, is your brain an asset or is it a liability?
Right.
I love it, Miles. I love it. I mean, I honestly, I love that direction, man, because that is true. Creativity and assets and liability is true, because the truth is, for example, a dancer's legs is an asset.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
J-Lo insured her ass for $6 million.
Wow. Legs is expensive. That's how real it is. Like, you know what I mean? So no, I love it, because that's a valid point. It is a mental mind state, and it is really a creativity, like you said, because at the end of the day is, like you use that other example with the car is, although it's a liability, they turned it into a profitable asset. So the liability is almost completely outweighed by the liability.
Fact.
So that's the key thing of really just protecting your assets. One, the first step is knowing what an asset is and knowing what assets you have. The next step is actually protecting that asset. And the other step is actually trying to figure out how you can build value to that asset. That's why that was a perfect example you gave, because that vehicle is getting driven around, and it's likely that, you know what I mean, they're going to keep the miles low, and they probably charge people for mileage. So you're keeping the miles reasonable and you're making a profit. So even if you crash it, if you renting it for $1,000 or $2,000 a day, you multiply that times a month, that's $30,000. So even if that vehicle's $100,000, you would have gotten the value of the vehicle within 3-4 months, and everything else from that point on is straight profit, and you continue it on. So that was a beautiful example of how you can turn an asset into even more profitable and erase the liability portion of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I love that example right there.
Yeah. So it has a lot to do with your perspective, how you think of things, your creativity going around it. So what other good questions do you have, Lucario?
Oh no, I was gonna say, so how do you teach people to create more assets in their life versus having liabilities, or how do you get them to, or what are some ways to like limit the liabilities and then have more assets in your situation? Like what could they do to make that happen?
Yeah, I mean, keep it simple. Call RKT, life insurance policies.
Right.
Life insurance policy is another financial asset. That's something where you put money into, you're protecting your life, and again, you can borrow from it. And again, it's attached to the stock market, so it grows and your money grows. So that's an asset. That's one way, life insurance. Another way, just protecting the small things you have. I mean, keep it something as simple as you have an apartment, get renter's insurance. Why is that becomes an asset? Is because if your apartment burned down, and people don't think about it, your apartment burned down, and most people don't have renter's policy. Then they're like, oh man, I lost everything. But had you got a renter's policy, which on average is about $14 to $20 a month, they give you up to $10,000 for personal items. So that means if you had items in the house for $5,000, you get your money back, cash value. And in some cases, you even get more money than that. You can max out the policy and get that $10,000, and it becomes an asset. So I think it's just recognizing that stuff. If you got chains, get your chain appraised. You bought that chain that looked nice on you, get it appraised. If it was appraised for $2,000, it's documented. Now, if you lose that, you can get your money back. So it's just really recognizing the things that you have as an asset. You get a car. Don't drive it all over the place. Stop trying to show off. You know what I mean? Let it have low miles. Even though it's a liability, the value of it will be a lot higher. For example, if you have a car that's worth $10,000 and you got like a Nissan Maxima, you don't drive it that much, believe it or not, that vehicle will hold its value. And now that vehicle that you love, even though it's a liability, is now an asset because you're getting paid premium dollar. What do I mean? The average person that has that car, 10 years from now might only be able to sell it for $4,000 or $5,000, but you might be able to sell it for $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 because you only had a little bit of miles. So the main point is really paying attention to what you have and what is an asset. And if you look around, it's a lot of things that's assets. I mean, keep it simple. Things in your house, a garage sale, that's an asset. It's been worn down, it's been super used, but you go out and sell it at a little garage sale. Everything you have around you is assets, but it's just slowing it down, looking at what you have, and looking at, honestly, keep it simple, what can you sell? Like that's the perfect way, honestly. You know, I look at it. I mean, collectible items, like I said, sports cards. I mean, right now they got the little Pokemon stuff going on where those are going for crazy money. I mean, it's so many random little miscellaneous items. Jordans that you hold on to. We know how that game goes. I mean, so many things
I know
in
people
your
who
life
buy
is
and sell
assets.
them.
Yep.
You know?
Like, yo, I took, man, I was clearing out some stuff, and I took my original Sega Genesis and dropped it off at Goodwill. And then about 3 or 4 months later, I heard somebody talking about some stuff online, and the Sega Genesis, the same one that I had the original model. Remember they made that all black one after. I had the original one that had the headphone plug-in. The original point, son.
Yeah.
Right.
And I found out that shit was going for $9,000 on eBay, bro.
Damn.
I wanted to jump off a bridge. You know what I'm saying? Because I see
that's the thing.
That shit for nothing. You feel me? You know, I gave up my old Nintendo and my old Sega Genesis and all the games with it. I was tight. Like I had the original Legend of Zelda with the gold cartridge. Y'all remember that shit?
I remember that.
Yeah.
I gave all of that to Goodwill, bro. I was tight.
That's the best.
That's crazy.
So I bring up that to say that a lot of times it's really a perspective thing.
Yeah.
Really a perspective thing. Like you really got to understand. You know, you have to use your brain. You have to really up your level of creativity to understand the difference between assets and liabilities, and you have to see what can make you money, what can bring value. And because a lot of times we don't. The main reason is that is not. See, the thing is in life is that it's not what the thing is; it's how you see it.
Right.
It's not what you're looking at; it's how you're looking at it.
Right.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? So you could look at anything and see it as a problem. But I was, for example, like you see this plastic bottle, right? I was watching a commercial the other day, and it turns out that Adidas is using some type of like plastic recycle program. And they're making t-shirts out of plastic.
Wow.
Like quality t-shirt, quality like golf t-shirts out of plastic. You understand? So is this a piece of garbage or is it an asset to a company like Adidas?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like everything, you know, we have to really, you know, we have to look at things and be creative and understand what we're looking at. You see what I'm saying? And I didn't know what I was looking at.
Right.
I dropped off a good 20 G's to the damn Goodwill and didn't realize it.
And it's so crazy to piggyback what you're saying, Miles, that honestly a lot of things around you, almost I'll say about 80% of the stuff around you is an asset. I mean, while you were talking, I was giving a perfect example. I had a tablet from T-Mobile that I had since like 2013, and I was pissed off at the time because I overpaid for it for like $200. And I was like, man, this is just highway robbery. Right. Could you believe that tablet my son is still using? You know what I mean? Which technically that should have been thrown away, but at this point he's still using it. It's still functioning with the Wi-Fi. The screen is still in crispy condition, no cracks, nothing. And that's almost a 10-year-old tablet. Like, you know what I mean? The value I got out of that is insanity. So like you said, it's really just looking at the things that you have around you. And that was a perfect example again, because you had a Sega Genesis. Like, oh, look at this old Sega. But like they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Right. And like that's really where that saying comes from, because anything around you can use and make value of it. And I mean, if you think about it, it's just like a hustler, somebody trying to sell you something. The reason why hustlers are good and known for hustling is because they selling you on what they selling. You know what I mean? Like, look at this brand new TV, man. Like, I know it might not be brand new, but you got all the channels, everything else is right. Look up this, that, and the third. It's like,
right.
Yeah, let me sell. So it's really about, just like you said, the creativity, and start getting in the mindset of, what do I have around me that's of value? And if I think I don't have the value, let me take a second look and say, wait, maybe this is worth something. It gotta be worth something. It ain't worth zero. I mean, I can't sell it for $100, but shit, I might be able to sell it for $15. So I mean, I think it's just taking baby steps of looking around you what real assets are. Though.
Here's what I would say. I feel like the person themselves got to know if they're an asset or not. Once you know that you're an asset, the things around you, you'll start to see, even like Rashidi said, even in your household, what are assets and what are liabilities. Once you tell yourself, like, I'm an asset, I'm valued, I can bring value to someone else's life, then you're going to start to see everything else in your life become useful, or you're going to find ways to make those things become useful. It's just like what they say, one man's garbage could be another man's treasure.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And then also it's like what Miles was talking about, the Sega Genesis and the games, things that are old, especially in a time where technology is always advancing. The old technology, those are assets because you can't get them anymore. So the value of those things are going to go up so high.
Right.
It's like, dang, why did I let it go? You know what I'm saying?
I'm still mad about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that because y'all were talking about intangible assets, but are there intangible liabilities?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely intangible liabilities. Like I said, it goes back to what Katie was saying. Is just about a mental space as far as intangible liabilities. I mean, the mistakes you make, things you do. You know what I mean? I think something kind of like intangible liability kind of be something like driving a car and you're reckless. You know what I mean? When you're drinking and driving. You know what I mean? Like, you know that action can lead to something devastating, which will cause a major liability. Whereas if you drinking and driving, you hit your car, you total out your car. You know what I mean? And now your insurance premium goes up. You created that liability. You also owe the person that you hit, and then they also sue you for injuries, which those can add up to being, $50,000 to $200,000-$300,000. So there's definitely intangible assets. Back to Kayleen saying about the kids. Yes, kids are intangible liabilities because they're so unpredictable in certain things they do, and they take chances because they learn by experience. We all learn by experience. But at those ages, they're taking way more risks and things like that. Prime example, if you have anything your kid actually touches under 18, you're actually financially responsible for it. So if your kid's walking around the block and throws a rock through a window, the parent is financially responsible for it. You know what I mean? So it's so many different ways liability comes about. So it does go back to keeping it simple, where it's a state of mind and things you do that leads up to bad decisions or that can cause a loss. That's literally, the broad spectrum, but it's literally that simple. Literally that simple.
Right. BC in the chat said, I'll sell you a Sega Genesis on the low just because you provide us with so much game.
Appreciate it.
Send that right now. Give them the address. We ain't playing. Send it right now.
That's crazy. So would you say getting sued is like an intangible liability? Because
like things you do because like that the example I gave you where you got in a car accident, it's nothing you can touch. You know what I mean? You driving. You know what I mean? You driving, making that mental decision to drive drunk XYZ, that can cause a direct loss. Perfect example. I don't know if you guys remember with the Kansas City coach with the Suns coach with Andy Reid's son, where he was drinking and driving and caused the kid to I don't know if he died or whatever the case was, or severe mental space. Where it's just crazy. Like you didn't think what you did could cause all that damages. You know what I mean? So as far as intangibles, literally something from a mental standpoint that can actually cause physical, it transitions into something causing physical damage and mental damage and so on and so forth.
Right. And what are some like tangible assets that people can either purchase or invest in, or what are some things that you think people could do to get more assets in their situation?
Well, one main thing I would say is gold.
Gold?
Buy gold, because a lot of people don't know that the value of the dollar is continuously going down. And what did we have before? What currency did we have before the actual dollar? It was gold. That's what's going to be coming back around. That's what's going to be valuable. People like to wear chains anyway. You guys got on chains right now.
Right.
If I didn't have one that's tied, I'd have on a chain.
Right.
So gold is definitely one tangible asset that people should continue to invest in and use that as like a form of currency for the future. You get what I'm saying? It definitely could be used, and we use it anyway all the time.
Right.
So that's definitely one.
I wanna say something real quick about certain things that may seem to be assets, but they're actually liabilities. For example, a person might have a job, right? Because this happens to people, especially in these type of times with the pandemic and this, that, and the third. A person will have a job, like say there's a couple, right? A guy and a girl, or girlfriend and boyfriend. They live together, husband and wife, whatever.
Right.
And both of them work. So the guy has a job, girl has a job, and let's just say the guy has a job where it's close to his house.
Right.
So he either walks or he rides his bike, or he may take a really cheap Uber or whatever.
Right.
But the wife has a job that's like 45 minutes away. Like say you know how some people live in Connecticut, but they commute all the way to Manhattan to work.
Right.
Right. Now, they go on for years and years, working and advancing their career, whatever. And then one day, for whatever reason, they decide to start having kids or whatever, and they start to do a budget. And they list everything. And when they factor in gas, wear and tear on the car that she drives back and forth to Connecticut, her spending money on her business, outfits, her business suits and whatever, dry cleaning, lunch every day, whatever, like doing her hair and nails so she could look good for her job and all of this stuff. They realized that if she sat her ass home, they would actually come out better than if she was working.
Right.
So they only really needed for the guy to work and for them to just adjust their budget to make it make more sense. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of times we go for these jobs and we think, oh yeah, I'm making all this money, but you're commuting. Like you're killing time. You're losing time. You're losing money because remember, you some of these jobs you got to look a certain way. The commute time, your car, like all of that stuff, the dry cleaning, the hair, the makeup, the this, the that, everything.
Right.
Because you got to damn near buy new outfits every couple of weeks because you don't want to wear the same stuff all the time and blah, blah, blah. And your boss is looking at you and this, that, and the third.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to be careful because anybody just, coming into the conversation might be thinking, well, a job obviously is an asset, but this is not necessarily so. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, and we spoke about budgets before on other episodes, but excuse me. Sometimes we have to budget. Sometimes we have to see where the money's actually going. So, because what you think is an asset is actually a liability. Why? Because an asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that's taking money out. And if that job that she has ends up being in the negative $1, then it's a goddamn liability. You understand what I'm saying? $1, it's a liability. And because it happens a lot, where, oh yeah, I want to work and I want to this and I'm strong and independent and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what are we doing? See, they talk about the pay wage gap and all this type of shit. But when you really think about it, guys could get away with wearing the same shirt and tie every day. Right. You can get away with that shit. And we don't have to necessarily do our hair. And like me, I ain't got to do my hair. I cut my own hair. Because the average female, does she cut her own hair? No, she got to go to some
right
salon to get it done. $100 and something a pop. If it's more than that, then you got to get your nails done. You got to get your toes done. Right. Have new outfits and new shoes and new this and new that. So basically, what I'm saying is that women are liabilities. All right, you guys.
1,000%. Take a shot. Absolutely.
So what I say, that's why
not though. You understand what I'm saying?
If you pimping, then they assets maybe.
Exactly. See, I like that, Mr. Lacar. You roped it back in. See? That's the point. Right. To make it full circle. That's why you got those sayings where time is money and money is time. Right. And why are you always costing me money? That's exactly why. And to go even on a deeper level, because Miles, you was touching some real topics. If you think about it, look at what's happening in the economy right now. Because the government with the pandemic let everybody get off with the unemployment and people are getting paid more, like sitting at home right now, nobody don't want to go to work. So now initially, this now turns into a crazy liability. So if you look at the end of the day, what's happening right now is that now the government is forcing people to go back to work. They making sure people are looking for jobs, and they put all things in place because the economy is losing money. Because initially they thought let everybody sit home, let everything stack up, and they thought they was going to bring the value back up in the economy, and things were going to be technically, you know what I mean? Like what's the word we're looking for? That liability and what we talking about today? Well, I'm losing the word.
Asset.
Asset. There you go. That's that old age right there. That's that old age right there. But yeah, the economy, they thought it was going to be an asset. They realized this is now a liability because nobody wants to go back to work anymore. And they were like paying people extra money, like our last podcast, just to go back to work. Because it started out as we can build the economy back up and let people calm down, and it'll be an asset. But in reverse, it turned into a liability, which goes full circle back to what you're saying as far as how things can be a liability. Like you said, going to work. How much does it cost to go to work? Then you got to pay for lunch when you go to work if you don't cook at home. How much does it cost to maintain those clothes? That adds up over time. It can actually be a liability. When it's like you said, if, you know, an example of the wife, she might have stayed home and did certain things to maintain and build you up to make it a bigger asset, where she helps you do certain things and increase your value while staying at home, saving the cost on traveling, commuting, and doing X, Y, Z. So I love that. That goes full circle of assets and liability.
I'm gonna tell you something. And here's the reason why I came up with the idea, because I know someone personally. They went and got their degree. They got a bachelor's in you know, I ain't trying to put nobody's business out there, but they got their bachelor's in whatever, and they got a job. You understand what I'm saying? They husband, he worked for Spectrum, and they got a kid. You understand? Now she's doing her career, like like full-fledged career and everything.
Right.
Husband worked for Spectrum. Now, for whatever reason, she lost her job. Between unemployment, the pandemic, you know, stimuluses and loans and shit, and she does this shit called Shipped. You guys ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, so it's pretty much it's like it's not DoorDash and it's not Grubhub. It's the one where they bring your groceries to you.
Oh, okay.
You understand? Oh, Instacart. So she do Instacart and this other shit called Shipped.
Right.
You understand? So between those things, she's making more money than she was making at her career.
Right.
Do you understand? And she can be home to help video homeschool her kid.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the husband's job with Spectrum is taking care of everything.
Right.
And she don't have to drive to work. She don't have to worry about getting her hair and nails done. And they're actually saving more money than they ever did before. So you went to college. You went into debt for this education to get this degree, to do this career that is costing you money, and you still paying back the fucking student loan.
Right.
So is it really a fucking asset? That's what I'm saying. Budgeting helps you to realize what's really assets and what's really liabilities, because you have to see where the money is going. You have to see where the money is going, because you think, oh yeah, I got my career, I'm making this amount of money, blah, 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 blah. But let's look at the budget though. What is your job really doing?
Right.
Because you're going out of your house to get this money, but leaving your house costs money.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
It really does.
Leaving your house costs money. Let's not get it twisted.
That's fact.
If you're outside your house, then you can't take full advantage of the resources that are already inside your house. So if you're outside of your house, that means you're using resources that are outside your house. So you're spending more money just being outside your house. You understand what I'm saying? So these are things that we have to keep in consideration. Like, you know, of course, there's a mindset, there's a creativity levels, but you also have to budget, We got to look at where the money's going.
Right.
We have to look at how much money's coming into how much money's going out. And we have to look at how much effort we're putting into going to get that money.
Right.
You feel me? Because look at, you know, Kayleem, I ain't trying to front of you or nothing, but look at him. You understand? He got on the fresh shirt. He got on the tie. That costs money. It also costs money to keep it clean.
Right.
If you ain't got a chick to iron that shit for you and keep it clean or whatever, you got to take it to the cleaners.
Absolutely.
Money. And then you also have to commute back and forth to the cleaners, just like how you have to commute back and forth to the job.
Right.
Everything I just said costs money. You see what I'm saying? So how much money are we actually putting out to go get the money from that quote unquote career or job that we talking about? And I'm not shitting on jobs or careers, but what I'm saying is be strategic in how you do shit. If you're going to get a job, make sure that shit is within a 10-mile radius of your house. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to get a job, make sure you strategize your outfits for the week. You understand? Like you have some people who they call them minimalists, where you check their closet and they got black pants and white shirts. That's it.
Right.
And that's all they wear to work.
Right.
So even though their job don't have a uniform per se, they have a uniform for their job. They're like, fuck you. I'm not wearing all these different colored shirts. As long as my shit is clean, I'm here every day wearing the same shit. I ain't trying to impress none of you motherfuckers.
Right. Right.
Now, when you start checking shit out, when you start checking those boxes, that's when shit becomes an asset, because it's like I'm putting out minimal effort to go get this money from this job or this career or whatever. You understand? And y'all not breaking me because I'm a minimalist. I wear the same pair of shoes, or, you know, I might have 2 or 3 that I could rotate so I don't get, you know, foot odor. But so they have the same pair of shoes, the same pair of pants, and the same shirts. You understand what I'm saying? And they keep everything uniformed, and it's like boom, like I don't have to do anything extra to go out of my way, because I ain't trying to impress nobody. This ain't a fashion show.
Right.
And that's the difference between, you know, because before I was saying that women are liabilities, but it's just a fact of nature that in most cases, women are the ones that need that feel that need to always be wearing something new, something fresh, something colorful. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that leads to, you know what I'm saying? Basically what I'm saying is, if you're gonna check the budget, you really got to scrutinize when it's concerning the female. You understand what I'm saying? Because being female, there's a whole lot of money in that. Because I mean, you know, we talking about ovulation and the monthly things and healthcare. You understand? Women notoriously get sick more than men do. You know, if she happens to get pregnant, that's a whole nother expense. You understand what I'm saying? Right. Like these are, when we're really breaking down money, these are things that we have to look at. And it's not to call anybody out, but when you really start looking at where the money's going, the truth has to come to light. You see what I'm saying? You understand? So, you know, again, you know, just be, you know, it just has a lot to do with being mindful and being willing to take a look at where your money's going, and understanding the importance of budgeting, and then understanding the true meaning of, you know, assets and liabilities, and where, you know, at the end of the day, how much money is being left in your pockets and how much money is leaving your pockets. Because if money's leaving your pockets, then your whole, if you do your whole budget and you realize you in the red, then brother, your life is a fucking liability.
Sad.
No, it's real.
You know what I'm saying?
And you touched on some heavy points, Miles. And the crazy part, I don't know how me and Kaylee missed this, is your credit. You know what I mean? Call RKT. Let us not fix your credit, but maintain your credit and teach you what to do and what not to do, because your credit is the biggest asset. America is built on credit. Right. That person that's driving that Audi, 9 out of 10 people that's driving that $75,000 Audi financed it or leased it. It's only 1 out of 10 of those people that paid for it cash. That was based on credit. Right. Get your credit fixed. Make the right choices. If you made bad choices, call us. We'll undo the bad choices, and we'll tell you how not to make those bad choices down the line. But credit is huge. Credit is huge, because at the end of the day, If you take care of your credit, you start off with a $500 credit card. Within 2-3 years, that could be a $15,000 credit card limit, and that becomes the assets because they give you rewards and airline points and cash back or certain percentages, and they give you more and more credit so you can use that credit to build your assets. You could buy a house. They give you that on credit. You know what I mean? Then you can rent it out to turn it into a bigger asset. So like, it's crazy. I forgot about this whole conversation. Get your credit together, man, because that's huge, man. That's huge.
Right.
But as far as tangible things to do it, get your credit together. Call RKT. Financial services, call RKT. We'll get your life insurance policy, protect your life. If something really go wrong, you can live off the living benefits. So that means you got $100,000 policy, something really bad go wrong. You don't got to wait to die to get money. You might get a check for $75K right there and be able to live comfortably. God forbid if it's a terminal illness or whatever the case is. And then, and also you could borrow from it from your kids. So, financial services definitely is a good way to buy tangible things. Look at the stuff around you, your credit. And like Miles and Kadeem said, man, it's just a mindset, man. Just really pay attention to what's around you and stop being simple-minded. I know it's a simple time, but you got to stop being simple-minded. You know what I mean? It's a cancel culture. Take your time, read things, follow the process, man. People are not following the process. People want results too quick. Just take it easy, wait things through. Like Miles said, budget. Budgeting is not easy because it takes discipline. It means that if you meal prep, if you don't meal prep properly, you now went ahead and spent $30, $40 on a nice little meal, and that throws you off. It's okay if it happens once in the blue, but if you meal prep properly, it'll happen once in the blue versus once a week. You multiply once a week, $30, $40 times a month. You know what I mean? I'm not good at math. That's $1.60. I mean, you know what I mean? So it's just follow the process. Like Miles said, budget, be mindful, be aware of your surroundings, and open your eyes and start looking at everything that you have that's of value, from the jeans on yourself to your sneakers to the jewelry you have. Look at everything that's around you and get those appraisals and just take a step back and breathe. Because honestly, not even going to this topic, this will be another topic, but time poverty is a real thing. Which time poverty is.
Yo.
We got deep. Do that next week.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
I just want to say that next week. Don't give them too much sauce, man. That's next week, man.
You're right.
You know what else I want to say too, real quick too, is that the reason I believe, and then the reason why I'm saying it is because it's a reality for me as well, is that a lot of times people are afraid to actually budget because real budgeting is basically an auditing of your life habits, your spending habits. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of times it's like you ask a question like, are you ready to really look at how you spend your money? Because sometimes when you actually see where the money's going, you looking at it like, do I really spend that much money on, you know what I'm saying? Like, do I really be spending that much money at the strip club though? Like, what's the matter with me though? like, do I really be spending that much money on bitches on dates? Like, because if that's the case, then I'm probably a simp. You know what I'm saying? Like, and being a simp can be a very bad liability. You feel me? So, you know what I'm saying? So, a lot of times budgeting kind of forces us to face the truth about ourselves, about our habits, and about the way that we actually manage our lives and our money. You understand? So, really, like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to really get to the truth of the matter, because when you get to the truth of the matter, then you'll begin to unlock the reasons why you're at where you're at. Because a lot of times people be upset or depressed about their life. Like, damn, why am I in this rut? Why am I stuck in this situation? Sometimes you need to budget. Sometimes you need to audit. Sometimes you need to really take line by line, take a look at your life and see where you're going wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop spending all that money at the strip club. Stop buying these bitches, expensive ass dinners before they actually show some type of value to you. You understand what I'm saying? But that's stuff for the other channel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But be careful with your money. You know what I'm saying? Be careful with your habits. Be careful with your management of your life and your spending. And, and things will get better, man. Things will get better. You know what I'm saying? So it's a real important topic. Because like I said, if you're not doing it right, your entire life can be a liability. You understand? And what you're looking for is for your life to be an asset.
Right.
You know? So,
right. And so on that note, Kaleem and Rashidi, let them know where they can find you. all that other good shit. You feel me?
And www.rktappraisals.com 973-420-5028. If you want to get your life together and make your life an asset, call us. We'll get your credit right. We'll get you invested in some financial products with life insurance. Don't hesitate, call us. We'll show you the way.
All right. All right, people. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate everybody in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you like the video. Share the video, people, man. Share this information. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you share the channel so we can get the channel bigger and all that other stuff. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it. We holler at y'all later. Remember, the truth is inside you. Peace. We gone.